Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wanderlust Wednesdays. This is the webinar series in which we take you on a fantastic voyage to different places all around the world. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lori Overton. I am the owner of Overton Travel, and I am your host for this webinar series. Today, I am so excited. Y'all know I'm always excited to talk about travel, but today I am really excited. We're going somewhere to a place where a lot of you have been asking me for years. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get there, I'll get there, I'll get there, I'll get there. And finally, the time is now. So it's not only a place, but it's how we're going. We are going to the national parks in the US and in Canada. We're also hitting Alaska and other places throughout the country by rail. Yes, by rail. That train trip you've been asking me about, we're going to learn all about it on today's webinar. So before we get started and before I introduce to you our dynamic speaker for the next hour or so, just want to give you a couple of housekeeping notes. This is a webinar format. So since we are in a webinar, this means that you can see me and anyone else who is the presenting. You can see us, you can hear us, but we can't see or hear you. So the only way that we can communicate with you is through two little buttons at the bottom of the screen. You should have something that's called Q&A and chat. So I want you to put all the questions you have about the presentation in the Q&A section. We have Donna Snyder on the call. She is going to be our moderator and she will answer. We will go through all your questions at the end of the presentation. And then we have a chat button, and a chat button is for you guys to put in all your little comments, say hi to your friends. I know a lot of folks, you're regulars, and you come every week, say hi to your friends, or if you have something ooh, ah moment, you can put them in the chat, or sometimes during the webinar, we'll ask you to put some things in the chat button. So anyhow, I'm so excited to get started. Our presenter for this afternoon is Jared. He is from Amtrak Vacations and also Rail Bookers. He is excited to be here. He is full of energy. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Jared right now. So let me stop sharing my screen, and it is all yours, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Lori. Thank you, Donna. Can everybody see me here? Can you see this, Lori?
I can see you. I
Beautiful.
see you.
You see me. Let me just make sure you can see my webinar because it doesn't seem to be connecting. Give me 2 seconds. There we
Okay.
go. There we
Yep, it's
go.
coming up.
We will always find a way. Where there's a will, there's a
Yep,
way. Thank you.
indeed.
Thank you. And I'm so excited to have everyone here with us on the presentation today. And I'm just going to give a quick, I'm not turning my back on you. I'm just showing you that I understand a lot of you are from New York, and I love New York style pizza. I hope you can see the pizza slice on the back of my shirt. And if you're ever worried about not making everyone happy, everyone on the presentation, you can't make everyone happy. You're not pizza. So don't worry about it. That's the way I take things in life. But I want to thank Lori. I want to thank Donna from Overton Travel as we walk through our Wanderlust Wednesday for the national parks, Alaska, and Canada by rail. And there's a photo of me popping up, the guest speaker today, Jarrett Kettinger. I recognize by the camera lens on me here, the photo you're seeing on the screen, I look a little youthful. I've actually been with Amtrak Vacations for going on 7 years now. And so if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And as Lori said, just type it into the Q&A little box. And here we have the Amtrak Vacations Systems Map. Everywhere on the map, you folks are seeing a colorful line. That's a route that Amtrak travels on. Everywhere you're seeing a dark blue or navy blue dot, that's a destination that Amtrak Vacations travels to, where we incorporate the hotels, the sightseeing, and the attractions all bundled together with the rail travel experience. And as you're going to see on all the slides, all of that, folks, is bookable through Lori and Donna at Overton Travel. Simple as that. Now, what makes Amtrak vacations different? Now, most times I say that it's a bucket list experience, and that's true. It is very true that we are a bucket list experience for many. But in this time of Corona craziness, as I've been calling it, I like to get very interactive. And so, as Lori had told you folks, you can answer as well as type in your questions into the Q&A in the chat function. So I'm interested to see, what are your bucket list destinations, whether it be here in the US by rail, whether it be in Europe, whether it be in Asia, whether it be in Australia. And I'll get this started off myself. On the top of my bucket list is Scotland, Ireland, Switzerland, and New Zealand. Does anyone want to come in and answer that as well? Participate. Come along the way. I'm interested to see where you would like to travel, whether it be by train or not. And I think I've talked with Lori. She has her bucket list. Donna does as well. So let's see. Oh, great. We have Brenda saying Alaska, Tanzania, and Kenya. That's all great destinations to travel to. That's very very wild. I like that. I like. Let's see. We have folks chiming in with Iceland. From Mary, Greece, Italy, Malta, Egypt. Okay, that's going a little bit wild too. Let's get a little bit wild. Let's get a little energetic. Those are some great destinations to travel to. Sheila says Russia, Amsterdam, Alaska, Kenya, Switzerland, Canada for the Ice Hotel Festival. Gloria saying Alaska. Hey, Gloria, we're going to talk about Alaska in just a few minutes, so hang on the line. Iceland, Greece, Malta. Patricia Cunningham is saying by train to the national parks. So we are getting some great responses. I love when we get some really good, exciting responses. Thank you, folks. Now, here we have the freedom and flexibility to customize or tailor make any of our itineraries to fit your travel needs. And I'll elaborate on that momentarily. And all of that is available, of course, through Overton Travel. Hassle-free. Hassle-free because all you have to do to book is give Lori or Donna a phone call or send them an email, because all of it is bookable, again, through Overton Travel. We're the official tour operator for Amtrak, which is just kind of a fancy way of saying we book their vacations. We have city-to-city service. In fact, we travel from downtown city to downtown city all throughout the USA and Canada, and there are over 500 different stations to choose from. And we have a little something for everyone. Whether you're 8 years old or 88 years old, we have something you will enjoy on your trip. Now, what does customize mean? That's kind of a big word, so let me kind of elaborate. Say that you were talking with Lori about the Rails to the Grand Canyon itinerary. And that itinerary is fairly simple. It includes overnight travel from Los Angeles, California to Williams, Arizona and back. So 2 nights on board the train. And in between those 2 nights, hotel stay at the south rim of the Grand Canyon for 2 nights. But imagine instead of that 2-night stay, you wanted a 3-night stay. No problem. We can add extra nights. It's real easy, simple to do. And then not only did you want to add extra nights, but you wanted to upgrade to the historic El Tovar that sits on the canyon ledge. Easy. We would just check and make sure that the El Tovar is available, as it's an exclusive property. And we would add the 3rd night and upgrade the lodging. One last hypothetical. You're all ready to go, ready to pull the trigger to book with Lori, book with Donna, but you also wanted to spend some time in Los Angeles at the end of the vacation, because that's where it starts and ends. Again, no problem. We could take our Los Angeles getaway, which includes 2 nights hotel accommodations in Los Angeles with sightseeing included, and add it to the package. So we would have taken the original itinerary, added an extra night, upgraded the hotel, and added a whole alternative package to it to create your own customized journey. I hope that makes a little bit more sense when I say we can customize our trips. Now, how is Amtrak maintaining a safe environment given the COVID-19 virus? Very simple. Enhanced cleaning protocols. Equipment is cleaned and sanitized daily, multiple times daily. Amtrak is going cashless, so less of a need for paper money changing hands and instead just social distancing using a debit or credit card. Social distancing posters and floor stickers are being placed in all of the train stations. Amtrak has committed a team of 18,000 employees working together to make sure you get to your destination safely, and the train conductors are keeping up with the onboard social distancing. Simple as that. So let's talk about some packages, some national parks, such as Glacier National Park, Amtrak Vacations' top selling destination. And that might sound a little funny to you because Glacier National Park isn't normally the first national park you may think of when you think of national parks. Usually that's Yellowstone or the Grand Canyon. However, drives right up to the door of the eastern end of the park. And from the door of the Glacier Park train station to the door of the Glacier National Park Lodge is only 209 steps up a walk path. Now, to read the maps, they're real simple. Everywhere you're seeing a bubble with a number in it, that's a destination where we have hotel nights. Everywhere you're seeing a red arrow with a number in it, that's the amount of nights on board the train. So you're seeing one night from Chicago to Glacier, one night on the train from Glacier to Seattle. Simple as that. And in Chicago, we include an architecture tour, a boat cruise rather, of the city. Now, I've traveled all throughout Chicago. I love it. I love walking the streets. I love taking the double-decker buses. However, if you can get out on the boat, out onto the lake and the river, it's a really unique, great opportunity to see the city. And you folks can actually see the boat you would be riding on right in the picture there. Imagine going up the river and seeing the architecture of the Windy City unfolding all around you. From there, you would take the Empire Builder north. The Empire Builder regularly ranks as the third most scenic rail route on the Amtrak system. Going from Chicago through the northern part of the country, through the rugged mountainscape, the beautiful forests, and into Glacier National Park itself. There we include two sightseeing opportunities. The Two Medicine Valley boat cruise, a very scenic, serene cruise out onto Two Medicine Valley Lake. And you can, like the last Chicago slide, you can actually see the boat cruise you would be traveling out as you travel through the city. In the Big Sky Circle Tour, the guided tour of the park that travels all throughout the area on the historic red buses. And you'll go all throughout the park, going over the Going to the Sun Road, down St. Mary Valley. You'll see the very famous Glacier Park goats. They are a very funny, but also very relevant part of the wildlife of the area. And then from there, you'll head out into Seattle with admission to both the Space Needle and the Chihuly Garden in Glass exhibit at the base of the Space Needle. So that, folks, is the Glacier National Park Express. Next up, we have the Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. This itinerary is notable by me for three particular reasons. Number one, as you can see by the screen, it travels to three of the most popular national parks in the United States: Yellowstone, the first established national park, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. It also travels to visit three very unique, very different U.S. major cities: Salt Lake City, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. And then thirdly, it travels along three of the top 5 most scenic rail routes on the Amtrak system. The California Zephyr, going from Chicago through the heart of the country, through the Colorado Rocky Mountains, through the deserts in Nevada, the Sierra Nevada mountain range, and into the Bay Area of San Francisco. That's the number one. Then the Coast Starlight running from San Francisco down from Northern California along the Pacific coastline and into Los Angeles. That regularly ranks as number two. Then the Southwest Chief, that regularly ranks as the fourth most scenic rail route, going from Los Angeles through the deserts in the southwestern area of the country, the Red Rocks, visiting the Grand Canyon, and then looping back to Chicago. So here you folks can see the California Zephyr making its headway out through the Colorado Rocky Mountains. We include a stop and an overnight stay in Salt Lake City, which is the gateway to Yellowstone National Park. And we also include dinner at the historic and famous Roof Restaurant in Salt Lake City on the 10th floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building in Temple Square. You'll head up and visit into Yellowstone National Park for a 2-night stay. And here you can see the Grand Prismatic Spring, one of the many beautiful hot springs of the park with its deep hues of blue, yellow, orange, green. You'll be able to visit multiple hot springs, and we guarantee that you'll see Old Faithful Geyser erupt at least once along your trip. Then we include a day trip by way of San Francisco out to Yosemite National Park. So you get a full day tour of Yosemite, where we include a stopover for about 3 hours to explore the park on your own. So you get both a day tour and time to explore the park to do as you wish. And then from there, you'll head along the Coast Starlight, which runs along the Pacific coastline. It's a little bit hard to see here, but you can see at the top right hand of the slide, the water's crashing on the Pacific coastline. I can tell you, I've traveled along this route myself, and I got to see baby otters and dolphins swimming from the window of the train, just sitting there watching these amazing creatures just from the window of the train car. We will stop for an overnight stay in Los Angeles with sightseeing included of Hollywood. And then you'll take the rugged Southwest Chief route along the Red Rocks and the desert to head into the Grand Canyon, where we include a stay at the south rim of the canyon. Now, it's important to note that you will do a round-trip steam train journey from Williams, Arizona, which is along historic Route 66, to the south rim of the canyon and back. And you'll get to spend a night in the canyon. Now, we base that rail travel in coach accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway. However, I would highly, highly suggest checking with Lori and Donna at Overton Travel about upgrading to first class accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway, which includes more plush, comfy seating, as well as complimentary refreshments, or even the observation dome on the train, where the windows go all the way up to the roof of the train car. It's not all that much more to upgrade. And if you're going to go to the Grand Canyon, usually it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Why not spend just a little bit extra to get a lot more of an experience? Just my advice to you. So that, folks, is the Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon all on one itinerary. Then we have one of my favorite itineraries that we do here, the Grand National Parks of the Southwest. This is very popular. It's popular by me. It's popular by other travelers because it includes round-trip service on the California Zephyr, which I mentioned earlier is the most scenic rail route on the Amtrak system. Also, in terms of being relevant, given the current COVID-19 scenario that we're in social distancing, this has become an increasingly popular product for a very particular reason. Again, this itinerary includes round trip service going on the California Zephyr from Chicago out through the Colorado Rocky Mountains and into Grand Junction and back. Now, when you arrive in Grand Junction, you'll disembark the train and spend one night in Grand Junction, Colorado at a hotel that we'll have booked for you. The next morning, you'll wake up and waiting outside the hotel is a giant luxury SUV, a Cadillac Escalade, a Chevy Suburban, a GMC Denali, something of that ilk, with your own private driver and guide service, who is going to be your private driver and guide, your escort through the 5 Utah national parks, the Mighty Five, as they're known: Arches, Canyonlands, Zion, Bryce Canyon, and Capitol Reef. So when I say your own private guide and driver service, they're your escorted valet driver who is going to drive you through the parks, and you're not on a 40-person motor coach with a bunch of strangers. You're not driving yourself with the SUV. You have your own private driver that will deliver you on day one, driving from Grand Junction, visiting through Arches and Canyonlands National Park out to Springdale, Utah. From there, they'll drop you off after a full day of sightseeing through Arches and Canyonlands, and you'll be dropped off at a hotel in Springdale that we'll have booked for you. The next day, you'll wake up. That same driver with that same SUV will be waiting for you to take you on a full day tour through Zion National Park. And at the end of the day, they'll deliver you back to the hotel in Springdale, Utah. And then on the way back to Grand Junction, they'll drive you through Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef National Park, delivering you back to Grand Junction for a night's stay before taking the train back to Chicago. So again, need to highlight the beauty of the California Zephyr. And then this is one of my favorite pictures we have of the national parks. It's Arches National Park as the sun is setting over the beautiful bright orange arches. Imagine going and snapping pictures of this and then coming home to your family and having a little bit of a brag saying, look at what I got to experience. And I had my own driver the whole time. And here you can see the giant monumental rock structures of Zion National Park. They're crazy, they're carved out, it's nature at its finest. Imagine visiting there yourself. Now we're going to talk about Alaska. We're going to talk about Canada. So put your your conductor's hats on to talk about the Alaskan railroads, because the package itself is the Alaska Adventure with the Alaskan Railroad, which includes round-trip Alaskan Railroad in adventure class. It includes one night in Seward with admission for a full tour through the Kenai Fjords National Park before heading up into Anchorage for a 4-night journey stay, then into Talkeetna, and then finally Denali National Park, with sightseeing tours through the Kenai Fjords, the Anchorage, and Denali National Parks. And this is what you will experience. Look at those Kenai Fjords, those cutouts in the ocean. They're absolutely insane. You'll get to travel on the luxury Alaskan Railroad and visit Denali National Park on the Alaska Adventure with the Alaskan Railroad. And then we have the Canadian Rockies Discovery Eastbound. Now, this is just one of many Canadian Via Rail packages we have. This starts in Vancouver. Now, it should be noted that whether Lori and Donna are setting you up to travel from your local hometown or to fly out wherever it is, we can go from Toronto west, we can go from Vancouver east. It's all customizable to fit your travel requests. But this particular itinerary includes 3 nights hotel accommodations in Vancouver with admission to the Vancouver Lookout Tower, as well as a day trip to Victoria Island with admission to the Bouchart Gardens, which is a giant quarry that's been remade to be a big floral park, before traveling overnight on the Canadian Via Rail system, which I've done myself. It's an amazing experience driving up through the Canadian Rockies to visit in Jasper for 2 nights in Jasper National Park, then heading down to Banff, where you'll have a Maligne Lake cruise out by way of Banff, as well as a tour through Lake Louise that'll visit the mountains, lakes, and waterfalls in the region, and then finishing with a night down in Calgary, which is just a real easy city to fly out of, or we can customize it to travel back per your requests. And here you can see the cityscape of Vancouver. That big dome, by the way, with all the lights on it, that's the Vancouver Science Center that sits on Vancouver Harbor. The city itself is vibrant, it's multicultural. I've walked the streets myself. The people up there are so kind, so nice. There's a lot going on. Fun fact, it's known as the Hollywood of the North. There are a lot of TV shows and movies that are filmed in Vancouver because, well, for tax purposes, which is not relevant for anything here, but it's you might be able to walk by a set of a movie being filmed or a TV show going on. Also, you get to visit up into the Lake Louise region of Alberta with its blue and green pristine crystal lakes. And as you travel from Jasper down to Banff, you'll head along the Icefields Parkway with excursions along the way where you'll get off the vehicles transporting you to go out and see the mountainside. Important to note that when you're booking through Overton Travel with Amtrak Vacations, you can choose your hotels for your particular needs because we have a menu of options at each of the major city destinations at 3, 4, and 5-star levels. This is really good because with most companies, say an escorted tour operator, you're just going to be stuck into whatever hotel they've already pre-booked. Where with us, you may choose to do a 3-star option in one city and a 4-star option in another. As you can see, we traveled through multiple destinations. And so say you wanted that 4-star option in Vancouver at a really nice hotel, but once you get into Jasper, you want to just save a little money by doing a 3.5 star, that's an option for you as well. Or if you're a luxury traveler that wants to do 5-star all the way, we have options there as well. It's all customizable to fit your particular travel needs and requests. Now, for those unfamiliar with the train, packing for the train is simple, easy, and you don't have to get to the train station an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours ahead of time like you do the airports. You're allowed 2 carry-ons of up to 50 pounds each and 2 check bags of up to 50 pounds each. That's per person, and there's no cost to it. Additionally, luggage can be checked up to 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time. In fact, that's when we normally suggest getting to the train station, 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time. It's not like the airlines where you have to get to the airports an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. As I just mentioned, get there 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time. Social distance, there's the stickers, there's the posters, and all of that is completely fine. Now, I want you to all pay attention to this particular picture because this is the first level of accommodations on the train, coach accommodations. And the first thing I always point out when I get to this slide is look at the legroom. You don't get that legroom on an airline unless you book first class or business class. This gentleman here, you can see napping in the photo. He's sitting back, relaxing with plenty of legroom. The seat itself reclines at a 45-degree angle. As you can see, there's a leg rest that'll kick up, a tray table that will fold down for drinks, snacks, iPads, laptops, whatever you may be bringing with you, and outlets to charge said devices right there. Also, because the benefit of booking and traveling on the train is the sightseeing that you will experience. It doesn't matter whether you're in coach class or the most expensive cabin, there's a big picture window for everyone to enjoy all the sights out of. Because again, what's better than seeing the countryside from the window of the train? And we want everyone to experience that. The next step up is the sleeper roomette, which has its own private cabin in the room itself, with a door that'll shut and lock from the inside, a big picture window to enjoy all the sights out of, bunk style sleeping. And it's important to note that for anyone that's traveling in a roomette or bedroom, you get priority boarding onto the train. So if anyone is a little bit nervous about traveling in 2020 or 2021, given what's going on, I would highly suggest traveling and having Lori or Donna book you into a cabin, because you have the social distancing at the stations, the social distancing on the trains because you get priority boarding, and social distancing while traveling on the train because you have your own private cabin. Now, there's probably a bunch of questions in the chat about, I don't see a bathroom in this cabin. The cabins for the roomettes have bathrooms down the hall. There's 3 to 4 bathrooms in every roomette car, and only those staying in the roomette car have access to those bathrooms. Additionally, there is a train car attendant in every roomette and bedroom car whose job it is quite literally to scrub out the bathrooms and keep security within the train. But if you want your own private bathroom and shower in the room itself, the next step up is the sleeper bedroom, which is the bigger cabin on the train with a long couch, a big captain's chair, as we like to refer to it here, a big picture window to enjoy the sights out of, as it's the Amtrak standard. Everything still folds down to bunk style sleeping, and I don't want the bunk style sleeping to intimidate anyone. It's simply one step up to get from the floor to the top bunk. It's easy as pie. I've seen tons of folks do it, whether you're 7 years old or 77 years old. I've traveled the train extensively. But this room is notable because it has its own private bathroom and shower within the room itself. Dining on the train. Dining on the train is included whenever you purchase a roomette or bedroom. It's already factored into the pricing, which is really convenient because you might be traveling long distance and having several breakfast, lunch, and dinners on the train. Well, you don't have to keep pulling out your wallet every time you travel, because the meal, as long as you're booked into a cabin, is already factored into that price. And the meals on the train are wonderful. You can see some examples there where we have like a breakfast omelet. We have the fettuccine alfredo, steak dinner, dessert included. And the restaurant on the train, or the dining car on the train, is basically a rolling restaurant. But if you want your meals delivered to your private sleeper, that's no problem. The chefs will bring it down a la carte, open it all up, just like you're at a fine dining establishment, and you can have your dining in the cabin itself. Everyday discounts. It's nice to travel, but it's nice to save a little money at the same time. Children aged between 2 to 12 years old receive a 50% discount off the base rail ticket fare. Seniors 65 and over, active military personnel, spouses of the active military personnel, dependents of the active military personnel, and veterans will receive a 10% discount off the base rail ticket fare. And I know I'm going to get the question, so I'll answer it now. Unfortunately, you can't combine the veteran and the senior. It's one or the other, whatever you're most proud of, I guess. And now, what rail vacations are you interested in? When would you like to go? Now's the time to type what destinations you're excited to go about into here, into the question and answer box. I'm going to come myself off of my video so you can see me. I know Donna is going to facilitate some of the questions. And so here we go. Thank you for letting me speak my piece as we went over on this presentation.
Thank you so much, Jared. That was absolutely amazing. you definitely got me wanting to do this. So I saw a couple of them in there that I want to do. So let's see. Besides summer, what is the best time to visit Yosemite?
Oh, okay. Very good question. So, having a cousin that actually lives pretty much as the crow flies an hour away from Yosemite, I have a unique experience on this because he made me hike it one time, and so I'd say spring. Given that it's California, though it is Northern California, which can occasionally get cold, I'd say middle of spring to late spring, or even into October, early November.
Okay. Are you able to take a dip in some of the springs?
The hot springs in Yellowstone, no, that is very, very hot, more than 300 degrees. In fact, the hot springs in Yellowstone have sulfur in them. You don't want to go. That being said, Amtrak Vacations has packages that goes to Glenwood Springs, Colorado, which is famous for its hot springs. And there you can get into the hot springs. We include admission within the package, and that's all bookable through Overton Travel.
Okay. Do you have a trip along the Big Sur?
Big Sur does not have a train station as of now. It is one that's regularly asked about, and so the more we get asked, the more we float it up and up and up. As of right now, the closest station is a little bit of a drive away, but we do understand why people want to go there. Though I will say that the Coast Starlight does include very beautiful views up the coast of California.
Arizona included in tours with petrified forests?
So yes, we can include tours that will go to the petrified forests. It isn't included in the package that we mentioned for the Utah's Mighty Five, but we can do it by way of the Grand Canyon. And so it's an add-on. We'll have to build it in, but it is likely possible.
Okay. Um, is airfare included?
So it's not included with any of the packages you saw. Airfare, of course, can be added on by those at Overton Travel.
Okay, right. So that's where
Okay. Does everyone on the train stay all together, all in the same hotel?
No, so it is an independent trip. So say it's husband and wife, or brother and sister, or a couple of friends. They're going to be booked into the hotels along the way, but you're not traveling in a big group of 30, 40 people. You might, along the way, find some other folks as you're on the train that are saying, oh, I'm booked onto an Amtrak vacation too, and they might be booked into the same hotel or a hotel in the same city, but you're not in a big group of 30, 40 people. You're booked independently.
And can I just jump in here, Jared? So I think some folks, because I usually do escorted tours. And so what we could do in this situation, I can say, hey, everybody, on April 15th or so, let's plan a trip to Yosemite or what have you. So it's not like my normal group where I get, I put out the price and it's static and is, everything is already set. So we can go in and we can just book this trip together. And if we are a group, we can do it. We can do it together. But we can book them individually, but on the same date. And I can certainly manage all of that. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And we've done that in the past quite often. So as Lori said, she can manage all of that. I was more speaking into the per person or per individual couple, but that is completely true. That can all be handled.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's what I like about the flexibility of this is that, you can also I can book it just for you and your family, you and your friends. Because I realize some people probably are maybe ready to travel sooner than others, or you may want to go to Yosemite and someone else may want to go to Glacier. And so it's nice to know that it's guided. You're not out there on your own. So, I can certainly, facilitate a group booking, but hey, I can just book a small trip for you and your family and still everything is planned. So
Absolutely.
That's what I like about it. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, Donna. Okay. So I don't know if Donna, you're on mute. Okay.
It says how many in SUV?
Oh, so that was a really good question in terms of the package that I went over that did Utah's Mighty Five, the Arches, Canyonlands, Bryce, Zion, and Capitol Reef. In that SUV is only those booked into your party. So say it's Lori and Donna, and no one else is booked into that party. It's just Lori, Donna, and the private escorted driver that's going to escort you through the park. Say it's mom, dad, and a couple of kids, 2 kids, then it's just going to be mom, dad, the couple of kids, and the driver. So you're not in with 30 other people you don't know. It's just who's ever in your party. Now, like Lori said, if you have, say, a bunch of people booked onto a date in April or May, then we can put you all in a larger vehicle and everybody can be together, or depending on how many, we might have to get a couple of vehicles, so that's perfectly fine. But if, say, it's just mom, dad, and a couple of kids, well, then it's mom, dad, a couple of kids, and the driver of the vehicle. Simple as that.
All right, what is the best time of year for these?
So the national parks are kind of finicky, and finicky in a good way. They're good for travel for most of them, from early spring through mid to late fall. And when I say that, Glacier itself, Glacier Park in Montana, that's open from June through early September. Grand Canyon, it's opened all year round. Grand Canyon doesn't close down. Yellowstone is kind of unique. It's open in the summer and it's open in the winter. Now, let me tell you, I've been to Yellowstone in the winter. It's cold. So you're going to want to go in the summertime. And believe it or not, colder than New York in the winter, or Boston where I am in the winter. So you're going to want to go in the summertime. As for Yosemite, that's California. It stays open pretty much year round. And the Mighty Five, they stay awake pretty much year round as well.
Okay, if traveling from New York, do you take the Amtrak or travel by air to, for example, Chicago?
It's totally up to you. If you want to take the train from Penn Station or somewhere else in New York to Chicago to start the trip, then that's your option. If you wanted to fly from JFK or LaGuardia or wherever you're flying from and have Lori and Donna set that up, and you fly into Midway or O'Hare in Chicago and go from there, you have your option. It's totally up to you.
Yep. So that's why I love the flexibility here, because, some folks just may want to be on the train the whole time. And so we just, hey, hop on at Penn Station. Then others may say, oh, I don't want to be on a train for that long, and we fly over to Chicago. But actually, the train ride from New York to Chicago, I don't think it's that bad. But you got that flexibility. That's what I love. Okay.
Are there options from Houston, Texas?
There are options from Houston, Texas. In fact, we have packages to Houston and from Houston. So it's totally up to you.
How many roommates to a bathroom?
Very good question. So there's 14 roomettes in a car, and there's 4 bathrooms to every roomette car. So you can do the math from there.
Okay. Somebody wants more information about going through the Rockies.
Okay.
So is that something that you can send to Lori and they can email Lori and get that?
Yeah, I would just say, chat with Lori in terms of getting the information. She can get a quote for you. And if you have specific questions, we can always create a quote. That's possible through our call center here for Lori and Donna, not for you folks. They're the ones that are going to be quoting and working. As for the Canadian Rockies, just to give a little oversight, we do travel through Jasper, Banff, Lake Louise, Calgary, and that is possible by way of Vancouver East or Toronto West. It's totally up to you.
This person would like to go on a Canada rail trip in the California
Zephyr.
Zephyr. So I guess we can put that on the list.
Absolutely. So
that's 2 separate trips right there, right? The Canada rail trip is different than the California Zephyr. So.
It is, but if they want to customize so that they do both the Zephyr and the Via Rail, hey, we'll find a way to do it. There's no reason to say we can't. Though I would suggest doing one and then doing the other, because depending on how much vacation time you have. But if you wanted to do both together, hey, we'll make it happen for you. It's no problem.
Hey, Jared, most of these folks are retired, so time is not really a problem for most of them. I know, right?
Go. Just do it then. Then yes, it's all set. We'll get it
done. All right.
And just for those of you, because somebody said that they missed the video portion, so I just want to let you know that these videos, when we get done with the Wanderlust Wednesdays, probably in a couple of weeks, we will have them up on Overland Travel's YouTube channel, but also they will be up on our website. So just so that you know, you're like, oh darn, I missed it. No, you didn't. We have replays. So the next question is, for Alaska, is the dome train part of the package?
Absolutely. So it's the Alaska Adventure Railroad system. And I could tell you, I'm about ready to kick the corona out of here, because I was supposed to do the Alaska Railroad in the dome car this year, and now things got, waylaid for the summer. That being said, it's still booking actually for this summer and 2021. And yes, absolutely, you will get the dome car involved. That is a guarantee.
If you have your hand raised, please put your question in the Q&A box so that I can get that question to Jared or Lori, or you can put it in our Zoom chat, because I can't get to, we can't unmute you for you to ask your question. Thank you for that. Do any of your tours include Mount Rushmore or the Mormon Tabernacle Church?
So yes, for the Mormon Tabernacle Church, and I can tell you it is really crazy. You go in there and the architecture is gorgeous. You could hear a pin drop. It's a giant building. They actually do an example of a pin dropping at the head of the church, and they stick you at the back, and you can hear it all the way in the back, the way the architecture is built. It's really crazy. As for Mount Rushmore, we don't really do Mount Rushmore because it's about 8 to 9 hours away from any local train station, and that would be local in Colorado with a 9 to 10 hour drive. So yes to the Mormon Tabernacle, no to Mount Rushmore.
Okay. Can we travel from New York to Chicago by train? And the answer to that is yes, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. There are several different trips showcased. Are they each available in all seasons?
So some yes and some no. It just depends on which destination you're going to. For example, as I mentioned, Glacier is only open from, say, the second week of June through the second week of September. Yellowstone is open in the summer and the winter, but not the spring, somewhat in the spring, but not the fall. Grand Canyon is open pretty much year round. So it really just depends on which destination you're looking to go to.
Let's see. Does the spouse of a veteran receive the 10% discount?
So I wish I could say yes. Unfortunately, this is an Amtrak rule that the veterans just got their discount late last year. It used to be a part of a veteran program. So if you're a senior 65 and over, you will automatically get a senior discount. If you're a veteran, you can either claim the veteran or the senior, but unfortunately a spouse or dependent can't. As for any active military, which we may or may not have on this presentation, them spouses and dependents can receive the active military discount.
I think Nadine is asking, is South Dakota included?
South Dakota, so that usually comes in with Mount Rushmore. That's usually where that's all relevant. And Mount Rushmore is unfortunately a 10-hour drive away from the closest train station that could go near it. So we don't tend to include Rushmore or South Dakota.
How much extra are sleepers, and can you use your senior discount?
So depending on when you book a sleeper, it could be a minimal increase to upgrade from coach, or depending if you hold off, it could be a maximum increase. Senior discounts absolutely apply. What I would say is this: everybody in the world and their sister, brother, and postman is looking to get out of the house at this point. And we're all looking for something to aspire to or to look forward to. And so if you're looking for a sleeper compartment to book for a trip, I would highly advise chatting with Lori and Donna now and get something on the books, whether it be for this year, whether it be for next year. And then that way, you know, you're getting the lowest possible price for the sleepers.
Okay. Are gratuities included?
They are not. So you will have to pay. Well, you don't have to pay. You can pay gratuities if you want, but they are not included, though we do encourage tipping the train car attendants and the dining car attendants on the train, just as you would tip any waiter or waitress at a restaurant.
Okay. When is the best time to visit Alaska?
Summertime.
If you go coach, do you get to use a bathroom with a shower?
So the bathrooms with the shower are reserved for roomette and bedroom travelers. And so it does save you money by going coach because, of course, it's less than a cabin. But with the roomette or bedroom, you get the use of a shower, a private bathroom with a shower, private bathrooms for only those in that car, as well as meals already factored into the pricing.
Okay. Are there spas that can be visited overnight on any of the tours?
Some of the areas that we do have spas included. There are some in Whitefish, which is on the western part of Glacier Park. There are some in Glenwood Springs that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. And we can include hotels that have spas in them.
Okay. Do you have any African American history tour vacations?
We don't have any that are specifically by name an African American history tour, such as a package that's pre-put together, but we have many that African Americans regularly book into that they feel affiliated with their history.
Okay. Do you have AAA discount?
Yes.
Okay. Arizona extremely hot for April through October. Can you be more specific with the best time to travel to the Grand Canyon?
I mean, I will say people travel plenty through April through October. But if you are looking to beat the heat, as some would say, I mean, you can go in late October, December, January. I mean, it does snow there in the winter occasionally, but people still travel. It's also a low cost time, but they are good about, keeping things maintained in terms of air conditioning stuff, even in the heat of the summer.
Okay.
So that, Jared, so that means that they're ready to go in March then.
Absolutely.
So they're ready to go January, February, March. That's how I read into that.
Absolutely, Lori.
Okay.
How far in advance are costs set and how long are the price noted today good for?
So I'm glad you asked that because the prices you saw today are the lowest possible costs at the lowest fare. And so what we all need to acknowledge is that it's all based on when you book, where you're booking for, how far in advance you're booking, and how you're customizing it. Are you booking into a hotel that you want that has a spa? Are you upgrading to first class accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway? Prices are always live. And so we could give Lori and Donna a price today, and they would then send you a quote. And say you wait 3 days, you wait a week, that price is gone. So our biggest suggestion to you is if you like something, you know where you want to go and you know when you want to go, call Lori and Donna, have them get you a quote, and book it. Simple as that.
Can you go coach one way and then have a sleeper on the return?
Love this question. Absolutely. I always suggested this when I worked as a vacation consultant of say you have a shorter overnight where you could sustain being in a coach seat, but then say you're traveling for 2 nights on board the train. Well, maybe you're fine for that one overnight and save a little money and then upgrade to a roomette or bedroom on the longer travel. All can be done.
How many nights on the train to get to the first hotel destination? And I guess it depends on what trip they're picking, right?
That absolutely depends on where they're picking, but usually it's only 1 to 2 nights.
Are there any organized activities on the trains?
Yes, there is. During the summers, you'll regularly see national park rangers giving historical talks in the areas of the train. You'll see student musicians that are traveling in coach that Amtrak will say pay for their ticket for, and they'll get on and sing some songs and take requests. Sometimes you'll run into I guess gaming tournaments like checkers or chess. So yeah, that regularly happens.
What are your two favorite parks and why?
All right, all right. So Yellowstone is my favorite park. It's the first established national park in the United States. And fun fact, before it was titled Yellowstone, it was nearly titled Wonderland National Park. That's how amazing this area is. Yellowstone's my favorite, and then Jasper National Park up in the Canadian Rockies is my second favorite. And that's because I got to uniquely see it in the wintertime. Most people travel there in the summer, but I went in the winter and I got to see all kinds of wildlife and very nearly got gored by an elk up there, but I ran away. So
All righty. And then, are there any Native American tours?
yes, we do. In fact, those are easy add-ons for anything in the Grand Canyon area. Navajo Native American Reservation tours, and actually on many of the tours in the Grand Canyon, they'll actively stop at that simple request at a reservation area for trinket, buying souvenirs and trinkets, or just for a rest stop. Yeah, but if you wanted a specific Navajo Native American Reservation tour added to a package, we do that as well. It's a simple add-on.
Okay, so that is the end of our questions. Guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your questions. I'm going to turn it over to Lori.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think I see one more question, but I think we've answered it already. Someone has medical equipment that needs to be plugged in. You can just plug it right into the plug that at your seat. So that's not a problem here. But I just want to say thank you all. I am super excited already. I'm ready to hop on the train and head out somewhere. Head out to Chicago and then head out to the parks. So what I love about this particular program is the flexibility of it. So I'm willing to kind of pick a date and say, hey, let's all go on, March 30th or whatever. And then we can all travel together. That's great. But then you can also have the flexibility to go on your own. So that's what I love. And then even within, if we go to group, some of you could, want a sleeper car, some of you want the coach, some of you have different variations, and I'm more than happy to arrange all of that. So what I need for you guys to do is to kind of email me after this presentation. Let me know, when you would think about going. And also, Jared, we didn't touch upon this, the flexibility with the booking, right? Isn't there like flexibility? Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we have flexibility on multiple angles. Number one, we have daily departures. So whether you want to go on April 1st or you want to go on August 18th, we travel out daily. So it's not like an escorted tour where you're forced into one date. Though, if you're putting together, say, maybe some people that all want to go on that April 8th date, that's completely possible. Additionally, you have different options for upgrading hotels and customization, adding extra nights, subtracting nights, adding tours that weren't already included within the package, or even taking an itinerary and reworking it to fit your travel needs. All of that is flexible and customizable.
Mm-hmm. And are there any new cancellation policies or things like that have been put in place? I know a lot of, because people don't want to book so far in advance because we don't know what COVID is doing, things like that. So explain to us how that works.
Very good. And that's a really great question, especially given people's concerns. And we want to make sure that folks, if they're ready to go, that they know that they have a sympathetic ear and we understand if things need to change or move or cancel. And so simple as that, as long as you book a trip and then say things need to change, cancel, whatever it may be, as long as you inform Overton Travel, who would then inform us 5 days or more prior to departure, there are no change fees charged. There's no cancellation penalties. We just fix it for you, whatever it needs be.
Okay, we just
Yeah.
got
So
3 more questions that popped in. Lori, have you
okay.
ever taken a rail trip ever before and where?
Okay. I have not. So this is new for me. I've never done it. Not. I don't think I think I've been on Amtrak once. Here in the U.S. and that's from like New York to Philly. So I'm super excited about this. I've taken the rail in Europe previously, but never in the U.S. So that's why like this is like uncharted territory for me. So if you're willing to take the ride with me, that's great. Okay.
Sign me up, Lori.
All right, Donna. Okay.
All right, so Jared, can you really talk about the social distancing? How are you guys working this on the plane? I mean, on the trains? Are you skipping every other seat? I mean, I know you're doing all the cleaning and everything, but how is the seating happening?
Very good question. So right now, and please understand, there's a lot less people traveling on board the trains because in general, there's a lot less people traveling everywhere. That being said, the train conductors have been specifically trained during this time to make sure that if, say, it's a husband and wife traveling together, they are 6 feet to sometimes up to 12 feet apart from X other person. There's another person that's traveling on board the train. And they're also making sure that people are staying 6 feet apart as they walk through the train cars. It was always a regular practice for conductors to walk through the train cars to begin with. But now they're just making things farther between people. And if people are, say, seemingly strangers or they're not seeing the same, say it's Lori Overton and Donna Snyder are on one ticket, and then they see that 3 feet apart is Jarrett Kettinger, and he's not on the same ticket as Lori and Donna, that conductor is going to ask Jarrett to move back a few feet. And so they are maintaining social distancing. And again, for anyone that's boarding the train going into a sleeper compartment, they already were being boarded separately from the general admission. But now they're being boarded even more active ahead of time, fewer and far between so that people are separated. And of course, like we said, we are making sure things are cleaned multiple times daily.
Jacqueline says she's done the overnight from Cali to Chicago. She said it was great. She highly recommends that we do the sleeper cars for multiple overnights.
I agree with Jacqueline 100%.
Okay. All right. Great. And then on the train, how is the air recycled? Are the windows open, or is it how is the whole air circulation process?
So so windows are opened at certain stops along the way. So there are train stops that are 5 minutes, Lori, where you're simply just waiting for XYZ people to board the train and off board the train. There are also train stations where there are crew changes. So you have a certain amount of train conductors that live in the area and they're getting off the train and more crew is boarding. During those times, it's usually 45 minutes to an hour for a stop. And so at that time, they're taking the time to air out the trains.
Okay. Okay, great.
One more question. I think this is going to be our last one, guys. How do you clean while folks are on the train? So how is that process happening? Are you cleaning in between the rides or?
So there are certain times, say for the train car, the dining car, where there are large breaks in between the meal times where they're scrubbing everything down. Also, like I said, there are social distancing methods in place where people are 6 to 12 feet apart. Well, in that space, those conductors are free to go and clean them out and whatnot. Also taking into account, say they're in seats, and I'm just making this up, 1, 2, and 3, and then 6 feet apart to 12 feet apart, there are people in seats 14, 15, and 16. Well, when they move, all those other seats that were in the social distancing areas, they would have already been cleaned multiple times. So new people boarding the train will go and sit in those seats. Then the seats that were occupied previously are then at that point during the travel cleaned out. So that way there's just an even flow of everything.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jack. I mean, that was a very thorough answer, so I'm feeling very comfortable about the cleaning process. That was the last question. We are a little bit over time, so that just means that folks were interested, they are interested in traveling by train to the national parks, through the rail, I mean, to Alaska, to Canada. So there's a whole bunch of interest. Please, please, please contact me after this call. I am actually doing my 2021 calendar now and have already started placing, when we want to do Alaska. I think I put Alaska in July, and I think I put the Grand Canyon in March or April. So I'm already kind of like putting a little shuffleboard together of when we're going and where we're going. So let me know early kind of, your availability and kind of, your wish list, so I can get that on my list. And because I know, although we can travel individually, a lot of us have become friends over the years. And so we like traveling with the travel buddies that we made. And so thank you for joining. Also want to remind you guys, come back next week. Next week we have Wanderlust Wednesdays at 1:00, and then we're doing something totally different. We're going to Jamaica. So we're going from the national park this week to Jamaica next week. But before we go, I have to thank Donna, our moderator, for handling our questions so efficiently. Thank you that, and definitely great thank you to Jared for just dropping knowledge, sharing your knowledge with us on rail travel. I feel more educated now than I did an hour ago. So thank you so much for that. Okay.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Lori. Thank you to everyone that signed on. I wish I could join you for the Jamaica next week. That sounds like a fun time. And thank you for all the opportunity. Welcome to the train systems, everybody.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you all. Have a great day.